This movie is another support movie for several of the other tutorials that are in beginning in Advanced Photoshop. This is how to use InDesign to grab placeholder text and then to put your text in Photoshop and use it in several manners. So I'm in InDesign right now. I've made my page. This is actually something I'm going to come back into, but I'm going to make with a text box. I'm going to make a text box. I'm going to fill that text box right now with placeholder text. So I've just made a text box. I'm going to go into Object, Type, and fill with placeholder text. Now I want to grab a bunch of this text, but I want to make sure in the paragraph menu that -8 is not on, and I want to just shrink the text down a bit, so I need to see my character palette, which is on the other screen, which is fine. I'll put it over here and move the layer palette over. So I want to just make this like, I have to click Command A to select all and just go down to about 11 point text. So I just want this amount of text here, and I'm just going to come up here and put a period. So I'm going to go like that, okay? And I can split it into 2 or 3. So I have this text here, and I'm going to highlight it and hit Command C. Now I'm going to go into Photoshop and I'm going to do a few things in Photoshop that actually help me kind of create what you're seeing on the screen, okay? Because there's a time and a place for everything. I'm hitting the F key to expand that screen to full screen so I can come in. So I took an image of a dog. I just took an image of this dog right here, and this is the actual image that I used, and I just added a mask on the bottom. And then I took this text here, and this that's actually a copy of that text because I never ruin an original. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did right here and here. So ignore these other layers for now, including, how many layers do I have of that? So so I have to see which one I actually used with my headline, which is right there. And that isn't it, because that's not ragged around the animal. Okay, let me see which one that is. Okay, this is the one that I actually use, so I'm going to color it so I know which layer is the actual layer. So I'm sorry, I just needed to organize myself, okay? So I'm turning that one off. I actually could throw both of these away, but I'll just, you know what, I'll throw them both away because I don't need them. So what I want to do now is have nothing selected. I'm going to grab, in this case, I want to grab not a text tool. I do not want to make a text box. Whoops, I need to turn that off. I do not want to grab and make a text box like this. That's not what I want to do. So I'm going to throw that away. I want to go into Photoshop and I want to make a rectangle tool with, and I need the options right here, on not shape but path. It must be on path. I'll say it again. It must be on path. So I'm going to make somewhat of a text box, but it's not. It's a rectangle. I'm going to take the text tool and I'm going to show you that the text tool knows when it's outside this, whether it's on it, text on the path tool, or inside. So I click inside and I hit Command V. Now obviously that's just a trite bit too big, so I hit Command A to select all, and then I'm going to go to my character palette and let me put it on the screen right here, and my paragraph palette, so I can do a couple of things, which is right there, and I'm going to leave it as left-hand flush. We're going to make it down to about 12 point text, even 11 point text. So I can drag it here or just drag across it. A whole bunch of ways to do it. Now I want to make the color white just like I did, but I want to make it Arial regular. So I want it Arial regular. And in doing that, I'll click away from it so you can see the text. Now I want to customize this. So before I do anything, I want to select it all and I want to unhyphenate the body of text. I'll move it down to grab all the text if there were any more, and I don't mind that I actually made it bigger. So I'm going to take this text with the Move tool and I'm going to move it over to this little guy's body. I'm actually going to take the text again and I'm going to click inside with the text tool, and then I'm going to just lengthen it out a little bit like this. Now, how do you in Photoshop deal with this? Well, you have text in a rectangle. The rectangle is a path. So we're going to click back to the Move tool and hit the P key. Now, as soon as I hit the P key, you can hardly see it here, but I'm going to diminish the opacity of this layer so we can really see what I'm dealing with. Well, actually, we kind of do, but we kind of don't. So I'm going to take the text tool, and I'm going to click back up on my text. And now here's the path. I know it's hard to see, okay? I know that. What I should do is turn the text into a color and get rid of the background. But I don't want to do that because I want to use the shape of the dog to rag the text. So here's what I do. I like where the text is starting. Maybe it should start just a little farther down like this. I'm going to click back to the text tool and hit the P key. As soon as I hit the P key in Photoshop, the path shows up. So I hold the Command or Control key, and you can see how I can start the text over farther to the character. Okay, and I can even break it up, meaning I can break up these lines and have it well. But I'm going to add another path to this and move it over. Now I'm starting the ragging process around this dog. Okay, the text is just a little too big for this purpose. So, and I don't like how big it is. So I'm going to hit Command A to select all. I probably didn't have to do that, but I'm going to go down to 10 points. Okay, fine, 10 points. Now, let's even go down to 9 points. So there is my 9-point text. Fine. I click the Move tool, I click the P key, and I'm back in my box. Now, I need to hold the Command key and click on the edge of this box. I'm going to move up this and move this even farther over to the animal, like that. Then I'm going to add another point, and I'm going to put this over here like this. Now I have got a pretty good shape going on for my ragged text, okay? Now, because I've used body text, meaning placeholder text, I can do what I want to do to this, meaning I can take the T key and I can add a character there or take away a couple characters. This should actually have a couple characters added there, and then I think that this line should actually go away. So maybe let's start the next line as the capital L right there. So I'm starting to get a fairly good feel to this, and you can see that I have got a pretty good ragging text, okay? And I'm happy with it. I'll take some of that out of the last line so it just looks better. And now there is my rag text. So that's how you deal with it in Photoshop. You don't use the text tool and make a text box. Now that's not true for InDesign. So I've done the same thing in InDesign. Now I want to grab this text right here and hit Command C. I'm not going to save this. Actually, I should save the file. Let me save it as number 2 so I don't mess up my number 1. And I have to hit a button. Now I already have InDesign opened. So I'm going to go to the InDesign file right over here. And now I'm going to turn off this placeholder text, move all this stuff over, make the pages, which I even don't need on this screen, move the paragraph palette over, and I actually brought that layer inside of here in InDesign. Now I want you to see what I've done. I actually saved a JPEG with the text on it so that I could position my text pretty well. Now this isn't the same text I'm dealing with on this one here, so this is going to be a little bit different. I'm just going to use it for the placement and for the general placement of it. So let me go back to InDesign. Now I'm going to turn off that text so we don't have to see that text. Now, which means I'm turning this off for a moment, okay? So I want to have this on. So in InDesign, when you want to rag text around a character, I am going to hit the text tool. I'm going to click up to the text layer, which I just made. I'm going to drag a box like you would normally drag a box. I'm going to hit Command V to paste. I'm going to hit Command A to select all. And then we are going to put this back to white. So I'm going to go to my character palette. Sorry, I was thinking I was in Photoshop. So let's go to my color and my swatches, and let's find the swatch color right here of white. Now I want this to be Arial, and I wanted it to be no hyphenation, so I must turn that off again. And I think I had it at 9-point text. I think it was. So let's go to 9-point text. and now I'm pretty good with it. Okay, now the leading is terrible on this, so I should open up the leading, which is at 10.8. I'm going to put the leading over here at 11, 12, 13, right there. So I'm just going to leave it like this, okay? The text is just too big. So let's go here. I have Arial Black. I didn't want Arial Black. I wanted Arial Regular. So regular is good. And now let's rag this text around the character, okay? Forget the spelling stuff that you're seeing. So how do you deal with this in Adobe InDesign? Here's what you do. Make sure you're selected on the text like this, okay? There's two aspects to a text box. One is the text box itself, and one is a path. So if I hit the P key, I am now on the path of it. So I hold the Command key, just like in Photoshop, I'm now dealing with the path because I'm in the P key or the pen tool. So I'm going to add another point to this. Right there I did. Now with the Command key held down, you're in the Direct Select tool. Just go bend it. Now, if I want a curve there, I hold the Alt or Option key. I'll zoom in, and I actually can pull handlebars out of this. And you saw how I did that. And now I can go up here and I can conform this to fit that very nicely. So I can pick this up right here and move this over, and you can see how I can customize this. I'm going to add another point to this, and I'm going to move this slightly over, and look at how I'm ragging that text around my character in Adobe InDesign. Now if I hit Command semicolon, I can turn that off, and if I hit Command H, nope, it's not Command H, just hid InDesign. So I have to remember, because I'm not perfect, I have to remember what is the quick key to turn off the extras and the frame. It's Control Command H, not Command H, Brian. So if I were to hit Control Command H, see how it turns off the frame? So I'm going to go Control Command H back on so I can see the frame. And now that's how to deal with this. So when you're in InDesign, you do use the text tool to make the big text box. When you're in Photoshop, you don't. You use the rectangle tool on a path, not a shape. I'll say it again. On a path, not a shape. Now, what you want to do, and I'm going to turn this back up so we can see this all the way, is I'm going to click on the golden lettering. Now, all I did to make this happen, I showed it a little bit in the previous movie, but I'll show it again. I'm going to turn off that text right here. I just clicked and I typed my text. Now, I'm going to turn off the word golden. I made a channel, wherever I put it, right here in front of me. I looked at what channel was the most contrasted channel, which ended up being the blue channel for that dog. Now all I had to do was duplicate the blue channel, as I've done now 3 times on this one, and hit Command L, and then raise the white up to nearly the middle, raise the black up to right over here, and then I had to click OK. Then I had to take the B key, make it bigger. I have the flow at 100 on it, and my job is to go mostly hard, whoops, and hit the X key and paint out everything onto the edge of his little hair, leaving the gray that's around his hair. Look at how easy this is. I'm leaving the gray that's around that, and I don't need much for the mask. I don't need to finish off the whole dog. So I'm just going to come through here, just like this and just like this, and look at how I have made a fairly good mask of the top of that dog. Now what I want to do is I want to turn all this into black. So I take my lasso, come through here with it, just like this, boom, 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 boom. I'm going to come right around like this, right over the top. Whoops, I missed a little bit, and I missed a little bit there. I'm going to hold the Shift key, and I'm going to add this to it, right there. You can see how I've just added that to it. And now I'm going to hit Command Delete and fill that up with black. That's all I need to do. I don't need to do anything more than what I've done here. I could actually, to make this look cleaner so you don't panic on me, is I could go like this, because I only need about that much of it, and I could fill all of that up with what? white. Now I have exactly what I need of my mask. Okay, and I'll use this one. I'll use the bottom one. Okay, so all I have to do is click back up to the RGB image, hit the T key, and don't drag anything, just type. Okay, now if I would have, I'm going to throw that away for a second. If I would have made the text up to about 100 points, then I would click, and you can see how I can just type in golden. Now I'm going to take the check mark and move this over. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. I just want to take the move tool and move this over in where it's supposed to be. And then I want to make that, where's my character palette? I want to make it Arial bold, and then put it in position, make it slightly bigger, so I'll hit Command T on it, and then I can just make it bigger. Did I use Arial bold on this, or did I use Arial black on this? I don't remember. I think I don't remember. So maybe I will use, if I hit the return key, I will use Arial black. Yeah, it was Arial black for some reason. So now I'm going to hit Command T again, and I'm just going to fit this in here so the N and this G go off the screen. And now I want to cut off this part of the D. Okay, so all I have to do, remembering that I can use Command I to invert if I need to, or hold my finger on Alt or Option on the mask when I need to. When do I need to? Right now. So I'm going to go to the last part of this and Command click my channel. With me Command click the channel, I see the black is up here on the top of this channel. So I don't want to get rid of this on the top. That means I need to do the opposite on this lettering right here. So if I hold Option and click on it, I'll get the opposite, and indeed I cut off the lettering. Now that's a bad tangent right there, so I have to fix it. How do I move the lettering but keep the mask in the same place? Answer: you click the link off over here in the layer palette, you click to the text tool, you hit the V key, you click to the text part of this or the image part of this, and now you can move this around so you're not making any bad tangents. Now, just for the giggles, I'm going to do what I did before, and I'm going to turn this down all the way because I really don't need a whole bunch of that. And I'm going to turn on the text, and there's my text. So I don't even mind how the text is actually going over the headline. I think that's kind of neat. All right. I might even take this and turn it down a little bit more, maybe to 25%. And that is pretty. That's really pretty. I could even grab the text tool, grab the first character of text and make it orange. So I'm going to make this big. Let's make it like 18 points. Let's take it and make it be orange. So I'm going to grab this orange yellowy color right here, or it's not bright enough. It's right there. I like that. That looks cool. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to move this down below the baseline right there. So I'm going to zoom in, and you're going to see that if I go like this and just take this, I can hit OK. I had my color picker still up. That's why I got a beep on me. And I'm going to go to the baseline and move that down the baseline until I say beautiful. Now I click the check mark, and I have exactly what I want with text ragged around my character. And if I click the move tool, wherever it went, which is the V key, all that other stuff should go away. And now I've done a good job both on creating wrapped body text with a logo on top, or a headline, I'm sorry, a logo, with a headline that is connected with a mask, as you can see, to my image. But I unconnected it by unchecking the link button. You see how I'm putting it on and off? Now I can move the word around the picture, but keep the image, keep the mask in place, which is very important. Another reason, Command T. If you want this smaller, look at how it fits. If you want it bigger, look at how it fits. Oops, you know why it's messing up right now? Because I left the link button on. That was silly. So I'm going to hit the return key. I'm going to hit Command Z back, unlink it. I'm actually glad that happened. And I'm going to hit Command T again. Now I'm going to hold the Shift key and look at how that moves beautifully. except I like where it was in the first place, right there. So I hope you've enjoyed these 2 little tutorials and that they help you position and make text boxes. I'm going to end this conversation by saying the proper way to do this ad was not to finish it in Photoshop. The proper way, before I end that statement, I'm going to turn off the body text. If you have text that has wrapped around something as sensitive as that hair that's right there, you're going to have to make that text part of the image. Does that make sense to you? Because you can't do this as well as I did it. You can't do it in InDesign. And if you did do it in InDesign, you can't separate the mask from the background as simple. So it's okay that this text here would become part of the image. It's very large, all right? But the body text should always be vector. That body text right there should always be vector. So that's why, and this is what I wanted to end this with, that's why I went into InDesign and I recreated my background. Let me turn off the layer if I can find my layer. So there's my text. So there is the text and the background right there, exactly like I told you you should have. So this text and this background are totally connected. All right? And if I wanted this to be opacity back, what I should do, and this is how you actually deal with it. Let's pretend, and I know that I said this movie was over, but let's pretend that you want this opacity back. Go to your links palette. In your links palette, edit your original. Now watch how you do that. Here is the JPEG demo. I'm going to go over to here to say edit original. Now it opens up. Now I can go into the original. Wait a minute, that's a flattened JPEG. Okay. I can't separate this. I have to go back into the main one and then resave it as a JPEG, which I will do. So I'm going and bringing my folder over here. Here is the original PSD of that. Now, you know what? I have totally messed this up. Let me go back to the Finder. The only reason I messed it up, I really didn't mess it up. I want to see if I have a number 2 PSD. Okay, let me see if I have that one. All right. I'm going to relink this one to this one, but watch what's going to happen. If I take this golden right here, this word, oh, there's the other one. Oh, this is cool. All right, this is the one that was too bright. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm sorry I keep on saying that. I'm going to select this one, opacity it back like this, really light. Now I'm going to save this, just save it normally. Then I'm going to go back into InDesign, and normally it would have updated, but I have to, actually it's going to. If I hit Command S to save as, Command Shift S, and I save this as the original JPEG right there and make it a JPEG right there, it will copy over that JPEG. I'll replace it. Now as soon, I have to close the JPEG. Okay, so I have to hit Command tilde and close the JPEG. Okay, now I'll save it as the JPEG. Isn't this fun? And I'll go in and I'll make it a JPEG, and I'll save it over that JPEG. Save it, replace it. Now, as soon as I go back into InDesign, so let me click the InDesign icon, look what's going to happen. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to, this actually should have updated. This one should have a caution flag on it, but I'm going to see if I'm going to just replace this. So I have to go, this one should have replaced it with itself, but I got to go to relink. And in the relink folder, I'm going to relink it to this JPEG here. Now that lettering should lighten up. Not even sure if it did. But anyway, that's how to relink this with its original. Okay? So, I really wanted you to see that in a good way. Doggone it. I really did. So, let me click back to this and let me really diminish this. You know what? You can turn off this if you want, but I'm going to really move this back like this. I'm going to save the file. I'm going to save as on the file to the JPEG. I really want you to see that go. So I'm saving it to that JPEG right there. I'm saving it, boom, replacing it, boom, and clicking that button over there. Now I'm going to go back to InDesign, and the darn thing should update exactly the way that I want it to update. So now there is my caution flag right there. If I relink this, that golden lettering should lighten up. So I go over here to relink it and double click this, except I'm going to move it away. I'm going to double click this, and as soon as I double click it, boom, it lightens up. So that's how to do and make this file work. In InDesign now, you would create the text layer, and now that's the proper way to create a print ad. All right? So we can talk about it further. I will see you on the next project.